Welcome. My name is Georges Verbena. In this video, I talk about the higher dimension aspects of your chart and how, through the law of correspondence, you can see your chart in your behavior. You can connect it to the body. Because I'd like to really talk about the philosophy behind how astrology actually helps you to connect to your body and connect to reality. And to deep dive into that, we need to talk about what reality is and how reality is structured. Because when we talk about astrology, we talk about the fundamental symbolic meaning of every single object that exists in this world. So every sign, every house, every planet belongs to a specific behavior, a specific object, and specific events. It is actually so specific that if you truly understand all the correspondences of how your life is an embodiment of your chart, how you, your DNA, your family, your home, your relationships, and your environment are all in complete embodiment of that chart, well, you'd probably feel a little bit more at ease. You'd have less anxiety, less stress, because finally you accept that what you see and what you feel is correct. So again, my name is Georges Verbena. I'm an astrologer, and I talk about what binds the structure of this realm in this video. So let's give you an example. If you are incarnating on planet Earth, you come with a specific song, a specific music, a specific story that you want to play. You see, everything is all about stories. So your chart is not about anything else except an art to express your story. And it's very important that you understand what your story is and to see that clearly. If you use your chart and look at your chart, it's an objective representation of reality. So it's extremely important that if you work with astrology, you understand what you're actually looking at. And for that, you need to understand the law of correspondence. So if you have the sun in your chart, then you need to understand that your self-worth, the way you get attention, the way you get validation from yourself, depends on the sun and its aspects. So the house your sun is placed in is what activities, what circumstances highlight your self-worth. Now, of course, if your sun is in a hidden position, let's say it's in the 12th house like mine, or in the 4th house or 8th house, or to a lesser degree 7th and 11th houses, an occult house means that your self-worth comes from a hidden realm that you cannot see on the outside. That means your outside actions will never make you feel good about yourself, ultimately. Unless you're dealing with illusion. Unless you are literally out of alignment. Your chart shows you how to do shadow work. Because if your sun is in a masculine position, first house, 5th house, 9th house, when you know your self-worth is all about action. It's about what you do, which determines who do you believe that you are. But if you don't know where your self-worth is coming from, if you don't see how your mind operates, then you will look at yourself through other people's eyes, through the eyes of society, people around you. Because you see, this body has a specific structure, your mind has a structure, and every time you work against that structure, the only reason you would do that, the only reason you would do something that is wrong or unhealthy, is because you're listening to society and you're not doing what your astrology shows you want to do. That's very important to understand, because if you are into astrology, you are looking at something that is a factual presentation of what you are, which is the opposite of what everybody else tells you. Unless those people around you are supposed to be there. But then again, even the people who don't understand you, even the people who project upon you, who put you in a box of where you don't belong, even people who put you on a pedestal, have expectations of you which you are not supposed to fulfill, even those people, if you attract them, the chart shows you why. And for that you look at Venus, you look at the descendant, and you understand the ascendant and how your identity, your avatar that is projected outwards, is going to magnetically attract people who are operating on the same wavelength. So if you attract people who gaslight you or project upon you, is because you are gaslighting yourself. And that's something I've realized by working with natal charts, that everything a person sees, everything that happens on the outside, everything you attract, is how you work with yourself. Your relationships with others are a reflection of your relationship with you. And this is something people will find very triggering. They will find it like, I don't want to believe that. I don't want to believe that I'm responsible for attracting all these narcissists or these tyrants and controllers. Because if I am, that means I have an inner controller, an inner tyrant, which resonates at the same frequency as those people whom I haven't made boundaries with. Why haven't I made boundaries with them? Because unconsciously a part of me agrees with them. Part of me is working against me. And every part that works against you will manifest as a part outside of you, a hidden enemy. And this is what astrology is about. This is why I work so much with 12th house themes, occult themes. This is an occult science. So the focus needs to be on hidden enemies, on hidden illusions. Because the chart is not an illusion. The chart is fact. And you need facts if you want to ground yourself. You need something to hold on to bind you. And in the New Age community, in the spiritual communities, they tell you the opposite. They say, let go. Don't attach. What they don't realize is that they are attached to detaching. They are attached to letting go. When in reality, all you needed to do is to attach to the truth, to the knowledge of yourself. And where does your knowledge come from? From the inside. But if you have a tyrant, a projector, a controller, a people pleaser, a codependent, a coward, a gaslighter on the inside, then you will be confused. You will think, what I think about the situation, is it true? Or is it my manipulative, delusional part working against me? If you grew up, which basically everyone does, with one parent or two parents who have inner controllers, inner gaslighters, you will claim them as your own, and you will repeat to yourself what they did to you and to themselves, and then you will attract the same thing on the outside. So I want to tell you that you can use astrology to identify what that is, where that is, and to make it crystal clear. So where do you see hijacking? Where do you see programming in the chart? Very easy. Do you have an asteroid or a malefic planet, which means an outer planet, Neptune, Pluto, Uranus, Saturn, or Mars to a lesser degree, on a luminary or the ascendant, meaning is a shadow aspect, an underworld object on you, trying to tell you from within something to protect you. You see, every controller, every self-gaslighter, every codependent has its origin in a protective mechanism. You want to protect yourself against rejection. You want to be loved. You want to be accepted. So you make a deal. You play out an archetype. You play out a persona. This is called a shadow persona. To get what you want, to have control over the other person. A codependent person is somebody who attains control over another through pleasing, charming, persuading, and diplomacy. And the narcissist is somebody who gains control over another through the same things plus domination, lying, mirroring, copying, and triangulating, and shame and guilt blaming. So if you identify even to the tiniest, smallest extent to either of them, codependent or narcissist, you will find them in asteroids, malefic planets, and to a lesser degree Mars, if you have them on the luminaries or the ascendant. So that's very easy to remember. So let's say you have on the ascendant Neptune. Then you know Neptune is responsible, archetypically speaking, for manipulation and control and codependency. Through what? Through everything that Neptune is about. So the planet, whatever malefic planet you have, shows you the style of how you manipulate others. If you have Neptune, you manipulate through shape-shifting, through becoming whoever the other person is. And by avoiding projections, by pretending that you are very, very far away from whatever you are afraid they may believe of you to be. So this is covert, this is hiding, sneaky, but this is also self-sacrifice. Jesus on the cross, the martyr. The martyr is the shadow persona of Neptune. Okay? Short, nutshell. Now, if you have Uranus on the ascendant, moon, sun, yes, it doesn't matter. It just shows a different style and different area where the problem is. But the shadow persona will always be there in childhood. Not in adult, because eventually you heal it, right? At least you want to. But it's necessary that you have a malefic planet or asteroid, any asteroid, on the big three. You will, 100%, no exceptions, literally not a single exception, no exceptions. You will have one shadow persona in early childhood attached to this planet. So Uranus would be trickster, would be manipulation through information, through channeling the collective consciousness and getting people to agree with each other, finding a common ground and dissolving separation consciousness. So this would be somebody who uses rationalizations, who uses the mind to eliminate opposition within a collective environment, to eliminate discrepancies, to have a collective consensus. Of course, you can imagine how manipulation can be part of that game. But like I said, every malefic planet and also malefic stars have these personas. So let's say you have an asteroid. Let's say you have Orcus on the ascendant. Then the way you manipulate is by becoming overly loyal. Through complete investment, you basically, you possess people. It's like a parasite consciousness. If you have Lilith on the ascendant, sun, moon, like I have Lilith, the way you manipulate is through being a people pleaser, submission, the shadow of Eve. You know, Eve replaced Lilith later because Lilith was not in her shadow. She left she left the tyrants, she left the controllers. So Eve, which was a copy physically, mentally, emotionally of Lilith, was an embodiment of Lilith. So somebody who always gives in to opposition. When there's pressure, the diplomat, you could say. And if you have like a fixed star, do all fixed stars have shadow personas? I do believe that there's a potential for illness everywhere, in everything. So I wouldn't say that there is a fixed star that doesn't have a shadow. I wouldn't say that. I don't think that makes sense. So, for example, let's say you have Antares somewhere. Antares is about being preachy. It's about saying, this is the truth and this is the way and the only way. So somebody who's like, military mindset, you know, like a dictator. Now, Antares individuals, there have been many throughout history. And if you want to understand the shadow persona and you don't understand it yet, if you're new to it, look at people who have the same placements. So Antares people like Nietzsche, Mark Twain, Jordan Peterson. You can look. What is the similarity between them that could be a problem for them and people around them? That involves on some degree control or manipulation. Yes, control and manipulation is in everything a possibility. Why? Because that's what shadow work is about. That's what trauma is about. It's about illusions. Illusions that we cast on others or we cast on ourselves. Now these illusions, we don't choose them. Hence they are a shadow. Our shadow chooses them for us. Now the nature of a shadow is like a computer virus. You are like a computer, and your body and your mind, they have a structure. Like I said in astrology, it's the computer structure. You have a motherboard, the moon. You have a BIOS, the sun. You have a graphic card, Mercury. You have a keyboard and a mouse. You have arms and legs. You know, it's like a computer, really. So a computer can be hijacked, can be programmed. And the shadow persona is just a virus. Now, how does a virus work? A virus works by mimicking a cell of your body, copying that cell, looking like you. So a shadow is something that looks like you, makes you believe that this is you, makes you identify with it. You see, your body, in order to be hijacked by a virus, must identify with the virus to accept it as a part of its own. Otherwise, it's not working. It's just gonna be like, it's not me, bye, ciao. You see? In the natal chart, a planet, house, sign, the aspect, it's you. A virus shows you, it looks like you, takes the role of that planet, it looks like that archetype, right? Neptune, the martyr. It looks like a martyr, so it makes you believe that's who you are. If you have Neptune of the Sun, Moon, Ascendant, it makes you believe that that's who you're supposed to be. And that's the virus. It's what beliefs. You believe unconsciously that you're supposed to be that because you have that planet, when in reality it's only the shadow mimicking that planet, making it appear as if it's the real thing. So now if you identify a shadow, you also have to, at some point, sooner or later, realize, okay, if this is not me, then who is me? So it's about identity reconstruction. You see, winter, which is the period where I'm recording this right now, is the phase of breaking down, destroying, dissolving false identities, illusions, by going within, spiraling inwards through the contractions of a feminine principle. I'm making this video on a Cancer full moon, and that's really what the sign is about, spiraling inwards so you can see how your past is in control of your body, where the past has been hijacked. So, when you understand the shadow, you understand the past. The shadow is always based on childhood trauma, like Gabor Mate explains. If you don't know who that is, I recommend to look that up. Now, what is the future? What is Capricorn? What is Uranus? What is the truth? The true structure of my body, the original DNA, the true blueprint, right? Because the virus is something, the shadow, that the collective unconscious has implanted in you. So you must always have compassion and patience, because you see, if you have a shadow, everybody can have the shadow as well if they had a similar structure to you. Because this comes from somewhere else. It doesn't come from you. So what's your structure? Well, your structure is something that is always there. The shadow is just a distraction. It's just trying to protect you against your own structure by convincing you that your structure is wrong and that the virus is true. It's like the devil in tarot. Yeah, the shadow of Capricorn. A false future. The government, external authorities, religions, they're all promising stability and safety. That's exactly how a shadow works. It promises stability. So, most of the time, your true self, your true structure, is unstable. It's found in instability. So when people finally come to their true self, they feel like breaking down. They feel like they were losing their feet over the ground. Like they're falling apart. So this is very important to understand. If you're falling apart, you are doing good. Thank God you're falling apart. It's just destroying old structures. Cancer, past structures. To allow Capricorn to take over. The true Capricorn, not the Saturnian matrix moon trap program. So, okay, the true Capricorn looks unstable at first. Great. My true self, I don't know. I have not been it before. The virus is all I've ever known. So I don't know where this is going. This uncertainty. It's unstable. So it's an insecure attachment. And of course, when most people get into that insecure zone, out of a comfort zone, out of a virus, out of a shadow, they feel naked. They feel exposed. They feel vulnerable. They feel like, nah, this was safe. I was miserable, but at least I know exactly what I get. So they go back. So there's the magnetic pull of the past, of the moon, of a virus. At least you know what you're dealing with. With your true self, you never know. You never know what it really wants to do until you do it. And that takes time. So it's a process. You need to refuse make boundaries with a virus for a long time. Not just days, not just weeks, years before the old structure has been completely replaced and you feel safe in the new. Now who has time for that? Right? Saturn, ruler of this realm, ruler of everything stable, takes time, right, to heal. So most people, they may go on this journey of, okay, I'm not going to fall for my shadow because I can see it for a few weeks, a few months, if they're brave, but years? Very rare. So if you're really healing, you are rare. You have to understand that. That means most people around you, they're gonna stay stuck in the shadow personas. Because the reptile brain takes over. Oh, it's unsafe. Because you don't know what you're going into. You don't know where you're going. Your heart is opening. You know it's true. But you may die. You may... It's not safe. So the inner protector becomes a tyrant and controller. The reptile brain, through fear, takes over again. So what people will do, they will see, oh, this person is breaking out of the old structures, which I've supported all my life and I've worshipped like religiously to do these jobs that I hate to do, to have these relationships which I know are wrong for me, and they're breaking out of that. Give them a few weeks, give them a few months, give them a few years. They're gonna fall on their faces, and then I'm gonna be proven right that I am miserable for a good reason. That is working out to be miserable. So people will hate your guts because you are threatening that misery. You're telling them for your healing. You don't have to do anything. Just you healing means you're triggering the fact that being miserable doesn't actually work, doesn't actually reward you, doesn't go anywhere. Most people, all of society is miserable. It doesn't work. It has never worked. But people believe it works because they've been programmed, right? They believe going to a job that they hate to do works in the long term. How delusional can you be? So when they see you, they think you're delusional. You're mentally ill. Oh, you are independent now. You're no longer being nice. You look at the dark, at the negative. Oh no, you're too negative for me. No, you have a bad vibe. Good vibes only, right? Vomit inducing. Virus only. Shadow only. If somebody says good vibes only, I'm just thinking shadow only. It's hilarious. But that's where we're at, yeah? The shit show. So learn about your chart. See your shadow personas before it's too late. So you don't end up like them, miserable, thinking your misery is working out for you. That's the best way to identify that you are run by a virus, a shadow. When you are miserable and you believe that you are powerless to change it. I understand this realm has limitations. I'm not love and light, toxic positivity. But come on. If you are overworking, if you are entertaining people who make you feel bad continuously, if you're in a job where you're like going from paycheck to paycheck just waiting for yourself to get used to the misery, then you know that's not the misery you need. If you're your true self, you're not miserable. Okay. I mean, the thing is, this is where people get confused. When the oil structure is breaking down and you are in fear and you're like, oh no, what do I do now? Who am I now? Without the virus, without the shadow, I don't know who I am. Can be miserable for a while. But you see, this is not safe. Misery that promises safety, misery that you choose for safety, all structures. You see. But misery that promises nothing, gives you nothing, doesn't bribe you, doesn't coerce you, doesn't push you. It's just reality. That's healing. So that's where we get into, oh no, don't be so negative, right? Good vibes only, because you're dealing with reality now. So of course, you be miserable when you don't know what to do without the shadow. Disoriented, confused. When Neptune is dissolving, healing you. To heal is to dissolve, is to break down. So people sometimes, they go too far in the healing. You know why they go psychotic on plant medicines? Because they're dissolving before they're ready. But even in that state of psychosis, they're shown that they are the source of their own misery. And that there is a choice between the misery that we can't do anything about because it's reality, and the misery that we believe we need to sign with the devil, sell your soul to the devil, dance with the devil, do what the devil tells us to do, the old structures, right? We can choose between the old and the new all the time. And sometimes both is painful. So, true pain or wrong pain, still gonna be pain, dissolving. So, it's okay. I mean, why are we complaining? At least we're getting away from the false. And you know, the false pain, based on old structures, never gonna change. But if it's pain that's the result of dissolving, of breaking down, of getting into uncertainty, that's evolution. That's Pluto. And when you know you are changing, something that's never changing is a mental asylum. It's a prison. The shadow of Neptune, the shadow of Saturn. This matrix. What is a matrix? It's a box of restrictions where you can't get out, right? So how big is this box really? When you're dealing with programming, your box is too small. When actually, the box was much bigger than you thought it was. So you need a little bit of imagination. A little bit of hope, faith, to take the steps, to leave the box. Of course, you're dealing with a box like your body. It's like a program, it's like a computer. But the box can expand, it can get bigger. So you must change your perspective. If you're breaking down, you are expanding your horizons. Suddenly new messages, new opportunities, new possibilities, new, the future. Capricorn, right? You see the correspondences between words, between processes, between objects, everything. When you see how things are connected, you're no longer stuck anywhere. Because you know exactly what you're doing, you know exactly who you are, and you know where you're going. And in this state of awareness, like all the teachers have been preaching for thousands of years, there is no prison, only freedom. Because, right, the truth sets you free, like Aquarius, like the star in Tauro, where you're like, I had all these waters, I thought I needed to hold on to them. No. Let's spill the waters. Spill it everywhere, because I don't need them. I don't need these shadow personas. I don't need the past. Because I'm expanding. I'm stepping into the future. The age of Aquarius. So more and more people are going through this now. Especially now when I'm making this video during winter. So if you're going through this, if you've gone through this at any point, you know what's happening. So I hope you find this video helpful. And if you did, please leave me a like and a comment. It really helps and it doesn't cost anything. And if you're interested in a personal chart reading, to look at how things are connected for you, to look at where you are and where you're going and where you've come from, the old structures and the old programs, so you can reconnect to the true structure, the divine blueprint that is your chart. Feel free to reach out. I'm on Facebook and available also on email. So thanks for watching and see you in the next video.